obstacle number 2. I don't have the qualifications. So many people feel like this. I don't have the right qualifications. And I think a lot of people feel this way because we live in a world that likes to categorize and label people. You know, it's a world that likes to put people into boxes. We're all used to being judged by other people's standards. So it's really easy to feel overwhelmed, you know, by not having the right qualifications or not having enough relevant experience before we even get started. But this is the beauty of starting a side hustle. You don't need permission to start. Okay. A side hustle is the perfect way to test the waters, to start developing the qualifications before you transition your career fully. Okay. And most people underestimate their ability to learn on the job, right? You don't need to have the qualifications to develop a side hustle, to apply for a side hustle. Now, even though I've said that, some of you will probably be saying, and some of you might be a little bit skeptical, like, well, Pete, that might work for coaching, but it won't work for the industry that I want to move into. Or you're probably thinking, I can understand that in theory, but I'm uncomfortable with starting something with no proper qualifications. It just feels too risky. Well, for those of you that feel that way, I'll refer once again to a personal example. All right, so let's come back to this job advertisement. This is the very first side hustle opportunity that a friend recommended to me. Okay. Now, this opportunity definitely caught my interest. You know, I really like the idea of one day becoming an executive coach, but I'm also really interested in sports. And you can see that this Chinese chairman has a lot of investments in sports. He owns Beijing Guoan Football Club. I think he's the largest investor in the Beijing Winter Olympics. You know, so he was looking for someone that had a keen interest in sports. So all of that caught my attention, you know. But let's be frank here, okay? At the time, I was sort of semi-qualified as a coach. I had got my mental toughness practitioner certification, and I was also part way through another coaching qualification called neuro-linguistic programming, or NLP. But I was far from being an executive coach. I was nowhere near qualified for that. And the other sort of job, business English, being a business English tutor for this chairman, you know, apart from being a native English speaker, I wasn't an English teacher, you know, I wasn't a business English teacher. I'd done a little bit, but I wasn't, you know, a proper business English teacher. But I really wanted this job, okay? And I think most people in my situation would have given up. They wouldn't have even bothered to apply. And I want to say to you, don't be put off, okay? I'm going to teach you a really powerful technique so that you don't get put off and that you do apply to a side hustle, even if you think you lack the qualifications. All right, so let's see my technique. I built a success team. All right, so before I was invited to the job interview and was given the offer of the job, I assembled my own success team of friends and other professionals to help me develop the knowledge, the skills, the competence, the potential needed to do these jobs, to do the business English teaching, to do the executive coaching. Okay, I built a success team. So these are people who have competence, they have experience, they have knowledge in these areas, in the area of business English in the area of executive coaching. So I built a team of 5, including myself. So we've got Brad, a business English teacher. We've got Liam, an English coach. We've got Tracy, an executive coach, and Malcolm, a world-class executive coach for BMW. And many of these people I didn't know initially. I had to use my side hustle, my friends, my former colleagues, as side hustle magnets, and say, look, as I said, for the very first tip, I spoke to my friends with clarity. Look, I want to transition into coaching. Can you connect me with relevant people? Okay. And this was the result. I got to know very quickly relevant people, experts in their field. Okay. So I was able to compile a success team, and with the help of this success team, who I met, individually, I sort of explained to them not only, hey, I'm looking for opportunities, but I also, in this instance, I said, look, there's this brilliant opportunity that I want to go for. But I've only got a little bit of experience teaching English. I'm not an executive coach. I've got some coaching qualifications, but I really want this job. So, give me some advice, please. What, for the English teachers, I would ask them, what curriculum would you recommend? What teaching methods would you use? Can you give me, a sense of what you would do in this situation if you got this job? And then for the executive coaches, I'd ask a similar sort of question. Okay. Can you give me, an idea of methods that you would apply in this situation? Can you give me some resources? And I would be asking a favor, So my advice there is just be sincere, be honest. Sometimes you have to go to someone and say, look, I'm sorry, I've got nothing to offer you, but I am looking for your advice, and I'd really appreciate the help. And I hope at some point I can, thank you, in a certain, in a way. I mean, I've actually paid people, which is totally acceptable. So Liam, the English coach, I paid him for his time. I treated him like a consultant. So don't be afraid to do that. Don't be afraid to treat someone as a bare minimum, treat them to coffee or to lunch, and say, look, I'm sorry. This is all I can offer you right now, a nice lunch. But if you can't even do that, just be honest and say, look, I really appreciate the help you can give me, and I hope I can repay you at some point in time. Okay. So anyway, you build your success team, and they help you develop your competence in rapid time. All right. They can cut through all the noise and tell you, right, this is what you need to do, Pete. This is how you can hit the ground running. And they can give you ideas, like effective ideas on how to pitch yourself, how to put together a proposal. So, I got a brilliant idea for my interview. One of the ideas was to combine both roles, combine the business English role with the executive coach role. Actually, that then gave me a strategic advantage, because the Chinese chairman, he only had to hire one person. He didn't have to hire 2 people. So that meant that, he was getting two jobs for the price of one. Okay. In that case. So that gave me an advantage over other people that were interviewing. But I just also want to acknowledge that maybe some of you are thinking, well, I know you got hired for the job, Pete, but is it ethical to do that when you weren't completely qualified to begin with? So what I would say to that is that's one way to look at it. But on the other hand, you could also argue that this chairman, he got a fantastic deal when he hired me, because, he was only paying one salary to me, but he was actually getting the benefit of a team of 5 people, you know? So my sort of coaching sessions contained all the benefit of, a different set of knowledge and experience from 4 other professionals. And that obviously meant that, the coaching sessions that I provided were really awesome. Because I was leveraging the knowledge, the experience of my success team. Okay, so from the chairman's perspective, he was getting incredible value, and I was able to continue adding more and more value. I was able to refine my methodology, my methodologies, my coaching methods, that sort of thing, because I kept checking in with my success team, and that this webinar is titled changing your career, but also how to get high paying side hustles, right? And this is one of the ways where you can command high paying side hustles. You get the knowledge and the experience, the benefit of that, the know-how from experts, okay? And you build that into your pitch. You build that into the delivery of your work, okay? So I was able to command a very high salary with this Chinese chairman. And so what was the result? Well, as I said, what I lacked in experience teaching business English and being an executive coach at that time, I made up for by bringing together the right people. And I created a very customized program that met the chairman's specific needs. And within a year, my salary was doubled. Okay. And I built and developed a huge amount of trust with the chairman, to the point where he would give me other side hustles. He gave me the title of executive assistant, and I've traveled to many different parts of China with him on business trips, but also on international work trips, okay, all over the world. So I've really benefited from this success team approach, okay? So this is your answer. This is your solution if you don't feel that you have the right qualifications for a side hustle. You can gain and develop competence by building a success team who has the know-how and the experience in the area that you're looking to either apply for a side hustle opportunity in, or create a side hustle in. All right, so the lesson there is you don't have to be fully qualified in order to get started. It obviously helps if you are, but if you're not, don't let that stop you, okay? Be prepared to be resourceful, to learn and to work hard, and make sure you do your job to the best of your ability.